Hey there, creative entrepreneurs and photographers. Welcome to our Pro Series. This is where we give your biz a glow up, one step at a time. Industry professionals are spilling their secrets and breaking down their coveted secrets of success. Without further ado, let's jump in. I'm your host, Rebecca Van. Let's go. Hey friends, today we are chatting with Roslyn of Roslyn Photography in Australia. And if you are a creative entrepreneur, there is a 100% chance that you have experienced the challenges of loneliness and lack of support that our solo ownership positions can offer. All the questions day in and day out, we just sometimes need someone that has been there or is there with us. Today we are dissecting community and offering suggestions and solutions if you find yourself out there in the same boat trying to find community in your industry.
Guys, I have got to introduce you to my friend Roslyn. She is in Australia, which is across the world from me. And we got to talking about how the lack of community in our creative entrepreneurial world can really make or break. It can really destroy an entrepreneur and their journey. And Roslyn and I both have similar ventures, whereas mine was just in the beginning, but Roslyn still struggles with creating community and having photographers and other creative entrepreneurs in her life that can pour into her and help her and vice versa. So today, welcome to my channel. We are going to talk all about creating community in the entrepreneurial world, especially the creative realm. And I cannot wait to introduce, this is my friend Roslyn from Roslyn Photography. And Roslyn, I'm going to let you tell us in your adorable accent a little bit about you, your life. Tell us all the things.
Oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. I love how you think my accent is adorable and you guys are just so cute. So thank you so much, Rebecca. This is an absolute honor and I totally appreciate that you are in yesterday for me. So technically I'm in the future and you're staying up nice and late to do this and I'm so excited. So thank you so much for that introduction. That was so sweet. Yes, so like Rebecca said, my name is Roslyn and I'm in Australia. If anyone knows Australia, I'm in New South Wales. So that's on the east coast of Australia. We're about in the middle somewhere down. I should get you a map. And I live in a small community town in like the Snowy Mountains. So we're about an 8,000 people town, primarily timber logging kind of community. So there's not a lot of photographers around this area. And I started my business when I was 18. So that was about 10 years ago, 2009, 2010. And back then there was even less of a community than there is now. And I was always drawn towards this bright, beautiful, happy, colorful style of shooting, and that just wasn't what I was seeing here in Australia when I first picked up a camera 10 years ago. I feel like our market over here in terms of photography is really drawn towards like a darker, moodier, artsy kind of vibe, which is fine. But what I was seeing in the US is totally not what I was finding here in Australia. And it just felt so lonely. I thought, was I born in the wrong country? Do I have a community here? Can I make this kind of style of photography work? And still to this day, 10 years on, I've been shooting full time for about 4 years now. And still to this day, I have not really found my people here. I find a lot of inspiration from you guys over there. When I first dived into education in photography, like 6-7 years ago, it was all, Amy and Jordan, Caitlin James, Jasmine Starr, all that beautiful community. And it's just, I could not find that here in Australia. So it was a very lonely journey to begin with. And I just tried to find my feet on my own. And now it's slowly starting to pick up in the last 6 months because of COVID and businesses having to obviously diversify a little bit more and people starting to reach out into the community. I'm like, guys, I've been trying to do this for 10 years. And all of a sudden everyone's like, right, we need a community in our industry. And I'm like, I've been looking for you for 10 years. So that's kind of a bit of a backstory. My partner and I live here with our little girl, Olivia. She's 3.5. She's absolutely amazing. And yeah, I love what I do.
Oh my God. Our stories have so many similarities. So we both started in 08, 09, and we're about the same age. I didn't realize this. And we went full time about 4 or 5 years ago. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah. And so also when I started, I felt like there was virtually no community where I live. And now it's funny that you're also in like a logging timber industry. We're in the pine tree capital of the world.
Oh, you're in Florida.
We're Florida. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so funny because we're on the panhandle, but like we have pine trees everywhere. We literally have a pine tree festival every year, except for this year because of, the virus, but they canceled it. But it's a super small community. And when I started, I just like wanted people around me. I wanted to ask advice, and I wanted to know like what programs to use. And like I had so many questions, and I felt like there was nobody that was either willing or approachable enough for me to ask. And it can be very like cutthroat. And, people would tell me what other photographers were saying about me behind my back. And it literally would just devastate me. And you try not to care, and you try to just not, but I'm a person, I'm not made of steel, and that kind of stuff can break someone. And there are many times where I think that if I didn't have a hard enough drive to want to continue doing, like, you and I, we have a passion for what we do. And if we didn't have that passion, we wouldn't stick with it. I think that I didn't realize how many things we had in common. And so we were bouncing ideas of what we wanted to talk about. And Roslyn was just kind of joking about how there was like a huge lack of community. And I was like, no, seriously though, like that's important, because I know that if I was going through it, and if you've gone through it, there are so many small towns and big towns across the country that there is no community. And so I just want to like speak to that. And if you are in that position and you are at home or you're at a coffee shop working and you don't know what to do and you just don't know who to ask all the hard questions to, I want to tell you and like pick Roslyn's brain a little bit about how to get out of that rut and how you can find inspiration and people to help you and fill your cup and welcome you and walk with you on this journey. Even right now, especially with the virus, if it's virtual, it's virtual. We got to do what we got to do. But Roslyn, can you tell me, like, what was the biggest, like, at what point did you realize that there was no community, not much community for you where you are, and like, what did you do about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so I guess I really figured that out straight away when I was 18, 19. I was starting to shoot all my friends. I was asking strangers and people if I could just shoot them for free. And I was like, right, I need some help. So this was like pre-Instagram, pre-TikTok. There was Facebook, but I'm pretty sure Facebook was only allowed for students or something. There was no online community. So naturally, all I did was I jumped on Google, and I was living in Sydney at the time. So Sydney's in the middle of New South Wales, huge city. And I jumped on Google and I was like, Sydney photographers. And I like vividly remember clicking on like the top 10, 15 people and finding an email address and just saying, hey, my name's Roslyn. I live out here. I'm 18 years old. I'd love to learn. I probably didn't write those emails as best as what I can right now. But, I just reached out. I was Googling. I was jumping online. And these photographers were, no discredit to anyone, but they were like older guys that had been in the industry for 15, 20 years, or older women that were in the industry for 15, 20 years. And I didn't get any kind responses from anyone. It was basically like either a no, or come back with a degree, or just no responses in general. And so that kind of just left a real sour, disappointing vibe in my mouth with the photography industry in that area at that time, because I just thought, I'm a young person, I'm super keen. Here I am just going out of my way to email a bunch of people and say, hey, I like your work, let me like do something for you. And I just got shut down. And so to come in as someone that was 18, 19 years old, fresh out of school, I didn't have any degree, I wasn't studying, my family didn't have a lot of money. It was basically like, you go and work and this is your passion and you're never going to make a full-time job from it. And so for years and years and years, that's all I did. And I was too scared to reach out to anybody. I was too scared to walk past a photography studio in the city and walk in and say, hey, I really love this. Because I just felt like being young without a degree in a big city like that, you were just nobody really. And so for probably like 5 or 6 years, I just bounced around with different jobs, moved around the country, did a whole bunch of fun stuff, and was always shooting on the sideline. And I guess I guess the community thing for me only really kicked in after my daughter was born. So she's 3.5. So started 2017, she was born. The community thing only really kicked in for me when she was born. And she was born early, so 6 weeks early, and I was diagnosed with postnatal depression and post-traumatic stress following her birth. And she has a rare genetic condition, so she's got extra special needs. And so photography just went right out the window. And so 6 months into being a new mum, you know what it's like. It's a similar story for a lot of mum photographers and family. You need to find your mum community. You need to find your tribe. You need to find your people. And I didn't find that as a mum, and so I was like, I'm finding this as a photographer. And so that's kind of when I kicked off my business full time. And I was like, I'm just diving into this world head first, because I need it more than ever right now for my mental health, for my sanity, for my family. And I guess kind of stepping out of my comfort zone and maybe being slightly delusional helped. But like that, it took me like 6 or 7 years into having this passion to have the guts to say, I need to go out and find my own community on my own. Like, they're not going to come to me. I just have to dive into this head first.
Wow.
That's your question.
Yes. And the ending of that is perfect, because that's exactly how I feel too.
Yep.
At the end, I was just like, if it's not going to happen, I have to make it happen. If nobody's going to host a workshop around here, I'm going to have to host it. Like, if there's no one that's going to talk and bring people together, I'm going to have to do it. So I love that you just jumped out there and went for it. Like, I am absolutely enthralled. So you have to tell me, how did that go? Like, how did you find people? Was it online? Was it in person? Like, how did that go for you?
Well, I guess living in a smaller community where I am now has its pros, in the essence that when I dived into my business full time and started shooting full time, I was photographing a lot of local families, a lot of local business owners. And I kind of was just like, hi, I'm Roslyn. I live in this community. I shoot full time. This is what I do. And so a good 18 months, 2 years of that kind of, my business kind of became a household name in this market that I'm in, just from my clientele point of view. And then the word kind of got out that, hey, well, Roslyn's actually in this full time. She's not just hustling on the sideline as a hobby. She's a full-time photographer. And so that kind of got out in our broader community. And then before I know it, there were photographers starting to follow me on Instagram and then on Facebook. And then I just thought, well, bugger it, I'm just going to reach out and say hello to you. I'm going to start liking your work. Normally you just don't, like, I was so scared to follow another photographer online, because I just thought, oh my gosh, you know, I'm not here to copy you. I'm not here to stalk your work. I just genuinely want to be friends with you. And so after I became kind of like a household name, my business was thriving. I was shooting a wide variety of people. These people were speaking to each other. It was word of mouth for my business. And then that just kind of expanded onto the broader creative industry. And eventually that just kind of caught on to other photographers and other people. And I just kind of thought, no, we'll bugger it. Like, there is no one else in my market that is trying to do what I'm doing right now. There is no one reaching out, creating a community. There was no one creating Facebook groups for local photographers. I just thought, bugger it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to reach out and let's just say hi. I'll offer to shoot other photographers' families. We have a family photographer that shoots our family regularly, and I was having a conversation with her about it. I thought, this is horrible. And we're like, let's start a Facebook group. And this was probably not even 12 months ago. We started a Facebook group for our local region, and it was just like 1 or 2 photographers to begin with. And now there's like 40 or 50, and that's like the most in our region. Like, that's a lot of people. So it's kind of just snowballed on from there. But my mindset was just like, no, bugger it. No one else is going to do this. No one's trying to do what I'm doing. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, who cares? I still have a successful business. I'm still shooting lots of people that I love. I still love it. So what have you got to lose? And it's been one of the best things ever. And, branching into education with my photography business has been such a blessing, because no one in my market is branching into education, and that's still very new here in Australia. And even personal branding is really new, and it's just been a whirlwind few years. And I feel like we still have a lot of ways to go, still have a lot of old habits to break. But yeah, you just got to do it. Just reach out and say hello to someone.
Yeah, I love this. Well, that was exactly what I was about to ask. So if someone's watching this and they're like, I just don't know what to do, what are 2 or 3 things? I love how you just said, just reach out and say hello, whether you're walking by a store. What other ways, like virtually, can we reach out to people and say, essentially, like, I like you, this is me, like, here's my virtual handshake.
Yeah.
What are some ways, Roslyn, that we can reach out to people if there is no community where we are?
Of course. Yep. So
And
3
how do we muster up the courage to do so?
Yeah. Courage is great during 2020 because we can all hide behind our screens, and worst case scenario, if we don't feel good, we can just push the computer off the desk and it's all good to go. You don't have to pass someone in the street. No. So number one, the first thing that comes to my mind is I would reach out, and if you're watching this and you think, oh, I don't have a photography community, you know who your quote unquote competition is in your market. You know who they are already. If you don't, you need to figure that out. But if you need to know who it is that's in your local area that are other photographers, figure out who they are. Reach out to them on Instagram and Facebook. Just introduce yourself. Say, hey, my name's Roslyn. I'm here shooting. I just wanted to know how it is that you're coping during this COVID crisis. How's your business going? And maybe just say, mine isn't so great. Is there any chance that if you have any extra work or you have any extra inquiries, can you send them my way? My availability is XYZ. Reach out and say if I can take any work off your hands, or can you recommend any extra clients to me, or vice versa, can I do the same for you? That's one thing that started in our community really well, is we pass a lot of inquiries around to each other. If we're booked already, or that client's not really our right person, I know exactly who I can shoot them to. So maybe just reach out and come from the perspective of, I'm here to help you. If you have extra inquiries, send them my way, and vice versa. I'd love to send you some of them. And maybe say, hey, what's the best email address if I can send some inquiries and some customers your way?
Right. I love
That's a good way to start a conversation.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And you just have to muster up the courage. You just have to do it. You just have to say it. You just have to reach out, and you just have to find people that you want to be connected to. And I think for me in the beginning, that was super hard. So how do we find people, Roslyn? Like, what would your suggestion be if, like, you don't know where to look?
Oh man, like, social media is incredible. In my community specifically, I can't really just jump on hashtags and be like, oh, hashtag Tumut photographer. That's where I live, Tumut, because we're in a town of 8,000 people. I'm the only person that lives here. You need to go a little bit broader than that. Reach out to your friends, your mum friends, the people in your closest communities now, your church friends, and say, hey, do you know of any other photographers besides me? They might say, hey, yes, I've heard of this person, this person, and this person. And you can go, right, I'm jumping on Google and I'm finding those people, going to reach out, send you an email. Facebook groups are great too, like buy, swap, sell groups. I'm not quite sure what you guys call them. Is it the same thing? That's a huge place to get people talking. Jump on and say, hey, I'm a local photographer. I'm just reaching out to see whether there's anyone else in the community who would love to collaborate on a project. Drop your name below. You would be surprised the amount of people that will get on like buy, swap, sell marketplace groups on Facebook and tag their friends, tag other businesses. There's always someone in there ready to jump in and help. That's another great place to look out for people, especially during COVID when we're not really allowed to be out so much.
Right. At the beginning, you mentioned just the sheer loneliness of trying to run a business on your own, not knowing the answers, not knowing what to do. How would you say just the general health of your business has changed from being in a state of loneliness and now being, having this state of community around you?
Yeah, definitely. That's a great question. I feel like it was almost like a weight lifted off my shoulders. That's kind of what it felt like. And if you're watching this and you're feeling really lonely and you're feeling like you don't have anyone to bounce ideas off and you don't have any photographer friends, you have to think that every single other person is probably feeling the same way, right? Like, I didn't realize that my closest friends now who are photographers in my local region were feeling the exact same way that I was feeling. Just because I was scared to reach out to them, they were also scared to reach out too. So you have to remember that they're humans as well. No matter what level your business is on, how great they look or how popular they look compared to you, everyone is a human, and everyone is probably struggling and battling their own battles just like you are. So don't ever think that you're above anyone. But in terms of the health of my business, that has been such a weight lifted off my shoulders in regards to just being able to reach out to a friend and say, hey, I'm not coping this week. I've had too many inquiries, or I can't make any more bookings. Can you take these clients off my hands? Or I just need a little bit of help with my editing. I'm struggling with these images. Can you help me? I'll pay you for your time. And just that fear of the unknown, thinking that, I don't know about anybody else or yourself, Rebecca, but I was always feeling like everyone was out to get me. I thought everyone's out to ruin my business. All those other photographers are out here like saying bad things about me. And that was just all in my head. Nothing was going on. That was just all that I had in my head. And I had to work on that really hard. But by building a community, that's just reassured me that we're all on the same playing field. We're all business owners. Most of us are still mums. We're all hustling with children at home, and we're all on the same level. I was thinking I was down here and they were all up here, all scary, but it's not the case. And so in terms of the health of my business,
like, where do we get that from? Like, we think we're down here, and we think that they're all up here, and we immediately put that comparison on ourselves, and it's crippling. It's absolutely crippling. Yeah. And I love that you, of all people, were the one to say, hey, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to try. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to try. Even when you were 18 and just emailing all of these middle-aged men that, that clearly didn't care about you.
No.
Tried. And I think that we have to remember that everyone we reach out to may not care about us, but it only takes a few that really actually matter to make a difference. So, and I also love that you brought up that how, we look at photographers and we think, oh, wow, they look amazing. Look at all the followers. Look at all the stuff they're doing. When in reality, I am the first one around here that I know of that would actually pick up a phone and say, girl, like, text a friend or text the photographer or just message them and be like, I just want you to know you are killing it. Or your last wedding was one of the best I've ever seen. Or you are just nailing XYZ. But you know what they would say, Roslyn?
Yeah.
They'll come back and they won't be like, thanks, girl. I mean, I'm perfect and I know it. They'll say, oh my gosh, I was up all night and now the baby won't stop crying and my life is falling apart. And all of a sudden we have something to talk about. But, like, I wasn't trying to get in their personal business. I was just trying to, like, celebrate a win and be like, hey, you're doing a good job, like, and encourage someone. But on the things, like, I actually reached out to a photographer friend today that I thought, wow, she's just doing big, big things. And, I mean, deep down, I was kind of like, man, I should be doing, X, Y, Z. I kind of put myself down at first, but I was like, no, she is doing something incredible. And I want to tell her that. And she messaged me back and she was like, girl, she's like, it's just a hot mess over here. I feel like I don't have anything together. And so we start talking about, I love your cat. Oh, okay. Tell me your Australian kitty's name.
Snowy.
I love it.
Yeah, and you made a really great point there too. Like, if you're stuck and you really just don't know where to start, instead of reaching out and saying to someone, hey, can I second shoot for you? Or, hey, I really love your work. Can you help me? Just start by encouraging people. Start by saying, you did a really good job at this. I love this photo of this family. You did really good. Or reach out and say, like you said, that wedding that you did, that was stunning. And compliment them, throw that shit around like confetti. Don't be afraid to, because the thing is, like, they're on the other side, like, clutching for acceptance and stuff. And so, like, if another photographer can reach out and say, hey, you're doing a good job, I think you've got to compare it to other industries too. Like, as photographers, we're so I feel like sometimes over here, we're in this mindset of I'm an artist. This is my art. Don't come anywhere near me. This is my thing. And it's like, no, you're just trying to run a business and you're in the business of serving people. And so try and compare it to other industries too. And so, you know, like it's very hard for us to go and compliment each other. But if you think of other industries, no one else does that. No one else does that. Like, what supermarket walks across the road to another supermarket, says, hey, you're doing a great job selling fruit and veggies today? That's just not what they do. So break that barrier. We're in the market of serving people and loving people, and we have to do that to each other.
We do. And I've always believed that we're stronger together. Like, we just are. Because where I'm weak, Roslyn may be super strong, and I have friends that are great at doing some things, and I'm just really not that good, but I can help them in some ways, and then they can help me in other ways, and we just really fill in each other's gaps. And
That's
it's
exactly
such
right.
a blessing. Like, it's just such a blessing. And if you're out there and you're watching and you're like, I just don't know where to start. I'm in a town with like 3,000 people and there's literally no point. Just believe us. Like, my town has like 7,000. Roslyn's town has like 10,000. Like, we do not, like, the closest Target and Starbucks is an hour away. And like, we have, you know, like one little downtown and that's it. But we're here and we're thriving, and we keep trying and finding community. And if I didn't have community, like, I truly would be depressed. I would be lonely. I probably would not keep going on the hard days. I don't think I could keep building my business. I don't think I would have pushed through in so many ways. So, like, Roslyn, what would happen? Like, what would have happened to you if you feel like you didn't find the community that you have now?
Oh gosh. Well, like I said at the beginning, my business kind of thrived and I dove into it head first after my daughter was born, when I was finding something to clutch onto for my own mental health. And I guess if I didn't find the photography community that I have always been looking for, I guess I definitely wouldn't be thriving like I am now. I wouldn't be so okay with posting what I'm posting, talking about my life, having such a personal brand, just being out there with my clients and being totally transparent, because I would probably have still had this little wall up that says, oh no, you can't do that because no one else is doing it. And oh, you can't do that because this other photographer is going to judge you. And after that weight has been lifted off your shoulders, you almost feel free of any self-doubt you have within your business, because you, like I said, you're on this level playing field. And I definitely wouldn't be where I am right now without this community. And it definitely is still a work in progress. And like I said before, we're still trying to break down some old school barriers with just the market here in Australia and how the photography industry is developed. But it's such a blessing. And the other thing that I thought of too, as you were just speaking about the small community thing too, is you've got to think of it from the perspective of it's also great for your clients. It's not just great for your own business and for the photography community, but this is really great for your clients too. If your clients can see that you're actively interacting with other photographers, that you're actively not trying to stay in a corner and be this person with walls on going, no, I'm just so good at what I do. Your clients are going to look at you and go, she's so confident in her work. She's so confident in her business. She's so confident in her ability to deliver that to this, you know, my wedding to me, because she's not in competition with anyone else and she's so sure about herself. That's going to make your business thrive from your client's perspective too. You know, being able to have an inquiry come through and say, you know, I'm here to shoot this. I want you to shoot my wedding. And you reply and say, nah, I can't do it. Or you could reply and say, oh no, I'm not available, but I know some really great photographers who are 1, 2, 3. You're just starting off on the right foot.
Yes. Absolutely. I love this so much.
That went off on a tangent.
No, but I'm right there with you. I had one photographer voice text me today, and I was so excited to hear from her, because in our community, there's just not a whole lot of community. And she was one of the OGs and one of the photographers that's been around for a long time. She didn't just sprout up, and we've touched base about business things, but hearing her ask my opinion on wanting to collab on something, like it just did my heart so much good, because I'm like, yes, this is something that will mutually benefit so many people, and I am in 100%. But the thought of like, if I had not had the confidence to put myself out there and share what I share and put out what I put out, I don't know that I would get messages like that. And I don't know how much of a community, you know, would be around. And I just don't know where I would be. I don't know where I would be. I couldn't do this by myself. I cannot imagine doing this on my own. And I remember I got my business license when my daughter actually was 8 months pregnant. So it's so funny that you were like right after you had a baby. I was like in the middle of toddlerhood, pregnant with another.
You're crazy.
Yeah, I know. My first wasn't even like 2 yet. I think I had a 1-year-old and I had a newborn. And I started, and I thought, I just kept finding random photographers online, and I would just email them and say like, how are you doing this? Or how are you pricing? Like, how are you making this living? And I would hope that one would book a coaching call with me and share. And little by little, but you know, I'd honestly forgotten that I had done that until you mentioned your emails. And it's so funny that like, that's how we had to start. And so I think in this day and age, it's so much easier to find people on Instagram and Facebook, because it has just multiplied, you know, the ease of use. It's almost too oversaturated at this point, but it's a lot easier to find people that are like us and that maybe in our region or might have similar interests in the same type of photography. And it's so funny, Roslyn, because you say that in your area, the light, bright, and airy look is not super popular. And here it's like way oversaturated. I feel like I'm in a pool with a bunch of light and airy photographers.
It's so funny. The whole light and airy, dark and moody thing, I didn't really come accustomed to those terms up until really diving into education from American photographers. And I started to recognize it and put 2 and 2 together. And I thought, okay, like there are different styles of shooting. I was just so accustomed to seeing this real dark, moody, trendy Melbourne, Sydney city vibes, kind of people walking away from cameras, nothing smiling and happy. It was all model faces and death stares, and I was always, my personality is not like that. I can't do that. I've tried, it's failed. I can't do it. I'm way too happy. I'm way too energetic, and that just does not suit me. And so when I started shooting this light and airy style, which was just so natural to me, I didn't attract other photographers or other people in my market or the creative market that was similar, because they just don't exist. And so for me, reaching out to other photographers and saying, hey, I love your work. Hey, you did really good at this. That also kind of felt a little bit strange for me too, because they weren't shooting similar styles to me. So it was actually quite interesting to pinpoint that in this particular market that I'm in, which is, I don't know what sort of region you call it, you know, a couple of 100 kilometers that way and that way, that I'm the only, like, touch wood, correct me if I'm wrong, someone, like light and airy, brighter photographer in this market. Everyone else is shooting dark and moody, and I don't know where that's coming from, and I don't know what that is, but I tried to shoot dark and moody because it was trendy, and I thought that's what people want. I didn't like it. It's not me.
I think that everyone has their personality, and the dark and moody is definitely not my personality. So I don't prefer to shoot it, and I don't really prefer to have my pictures done in it. However, I do it's fine for everyone. Everyone.
I appreciate it if you can do it.
Yeah, that's great. But like you and I, girl, we have our vision. I just think it's so funny that I'm uncomfortable because I feel like everyone around me is doing light and airy. and you're uncomfortable because nobody's doing like
Yeah.
it's so
And that makes me feel really uncomfortable because to begin with, when I was in the thick of like my business starting, like properly starting, I had a little girl and, you know, your mind's all messed up because you're a new mom and you don't know what you're doing. And I was like, oh my God, am I doing something wrong? Is this not what people want? But my business was still thriving. I was still booking ideal clients. I was still bringing in people that were loving on my business and loving on my work and shooting, you know, beautiful families and beautiful couples that are my biggest fans to date. And I was so unsure of myself. I thought, I'm struggling as a new mum. I'm struggling to find a photography community. And all I see is this totally opposite style. There must be something that I'm doing wrong. And every single time I twisted my eyes back towards the dark and moody stuff, and I thought, oh, well, if that's just the community, I've just got to be like that to fit in. Something went wrong, or, you know, I worked with a client that I didn't love, or I just would sit home and I would cry while I was editing because I thought, no, this just isn't me. And so for me to dive into trying to find a photography community, that also went hand in hand with me going, no, I need to shoot light and airy. This is what I'm attracted to, you know, head down, bum up, like, this is what you need to focus on doing. And so they kind of went hand in hand. But another thing too is you don't know who's watching you, and you don't know who is looking up to you that's a new photographer or a new kid, or, you know, we're at our age now, but there might be an 18-year-old fresh out of school around the corner who's looking at our work and wants to reach out and is in the exact same position that we were 10 years ago. And I think if you're watching this and you're scared to reach out, you have to think there could be someone watching you who's busting to reach out, but you're not giving off the right vibe, or is busting to reach out, but you're not giving off the, hey, we've got an online photography community Facebook group, come say good day. Right. You know, that was random.
No, I love how you said, say good day. Like, I love all the things, head down, bum up. Like,
good day.
Get over all of your cute words. They're so.
What else can I say? Kangaroo, koala, Aussie. Throw a shrimp on the Barbie. I don't know what we do.
Give me a couple more. Do you have any more?
Good day. Oh, we abbreviate everything. So service station is a servo, a bottle shop is a bottle-o. So you go to the bottle-o, you go to the servo, you're gonna go to the pub and have a beer with your mates. G'day, mate.
Do y'all surf over there?
Oh yeah. Australia's a big surfing community on the coast. Yeah.
Do you surf?
No, God, no. It's full of sharks and stuff.
See, I'm scared of that. Yeah.
Don't you know that Australia is full of like all these animals that can kill you and hurt you, like crocodiles?
Yeah.
We don't ride kangaroos to work though. That's a common misconception. Koalas, people call koalas drop bears because at nighttime they make like this screeching noise and they sound really scary.
Just like outside in the yard, like are they that close?
No.
You can hear them at night?
Yeah, when you're in like national parks and stuff. I've been camping before and koalas are like in the trees and they're like, ah! I'll find you a video. We have lots of spiders, lots of snakes. Kangaroos are really fun. They're cute. They have like little doggies.
Like, I kind of want to come.
Please come for a visit.
I would totally come. This sounds so fun. I mean, no speaking with the bears, but hi, Snowy. Oh.
Say hello.
Hey, Snowy. Oh. You are Snowy. So, Roslyn, what are you offering next year for photographers?
Yeah, so hopefully next year, fingers crossed, all going well, I'll have an online store for photographers, mostly people who are just starting out, just trying to find their feet, get their groove, figure out what it is to create a good client experience, all that good stuff. Online store for photographers to be able to purchase digital guides, questionnaires, like frequently asked questions, all sorts of good stuff for beginner photographers.
I cannot wait to see what you come up with in 2021. And if you're watching, make sure you follow along with Roslyn Claire Photography so that you don't miss any of her updates and all of her brilliant creations.
Community is a really interesting topic to talk about because it can be quite controversial for a lot of people, and can be such a sensitive topic too, because for valid reasons there are so many people so protective over their work and protective over what they've done and the like the business that they've built. And but I was saying to another friend a couple of weeks ago, having a business is like 90% personal growth and 10% actually running a business.
Absolutely.
You can only get so far without a community.
I love that. I think that's a quotable for this whole entire topic. You can only get so far without a community.
Only get so far.
You really can.
And it's really, really lonely. And if it's lonely, what's the point?
I love it. That's exactly how I have felt for so many years, up until now, when I feel like I have a very thriving community and I know people that can help me and that I can help back. It's a two-way street. I want to help just as much as I get help. And Roslyn, you are just a joy, a gem, an Australian gem. And I love you to death. I wish I could give you a big hug. And guys, make sure that you guys follow along with Roslyn. In the description box, I will have all of her contact information where you can follow her on Instagram, all the places. And thank you guys so much for watching. Roslyn, thank you for being here and joining us. And I hope that this was helpful. If it was, please like and subscribe so that the algorithm will tell other photographers that this was helpful, and so we can hopefully gain some community for some photographers out there that don't have any, that might be lonely right now and trying to find some. So thank you guys for watching another episode, and I hope you have a great week. Bye.
See you, mate.